Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me today for another card making tutorial. And we're going to be making this card today. Just sort of doing almost like a wreath design. So my thoughts on this were that it could be used as a sympathy card. I was looking for a sympathy sentiment, but oh, my light's gone off, so just pop that back on. Better. But I didn't find one that fitted in the centre there, so it's just got a thinking of you on there. But I think that's really sweet as well. All right, so it can be sent with that sentiment too. Okay, so I've actually used grey granite there as the card base and for the outline stamping and the sentiment, and there's a little bit of So Saffron in the background there. Okay. And the flowers, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. There we go. Oh, maybe another one. Oh, no, maybe not. The flowers are from Flowers of Friendship, which has a coordinating punch, which makes these kinds of cards really easy to build. That that sneeze has come now. Oh, golly gosh. Just one moment. Sorry about that. Complete sneezing fit. And feeling better now. Right, so let's get cracking on this card. So this has used muted colours, right, and I'm going to flip it into some brighter colours, switch the sentiment, and then you can see how you can use this idea for lots of different things. All right, so Flowers of Friendship, the sentiment is actually from Go To Greetings. Okay, and then I've cut it out with that lovely little die that comes in the Something Fancy die set. Okay, I'm really hoping this carries over. It's such a useful die set all on its own without the it is part of a bundle in the mini catalogue, but I think it really works well as a standalone set as well. Right, let's punch the flowers and get those done then. So I've actually cut a couple of strips of the cardstock to stamp each of these, and they are orientated on the blocks the way they need to be. So that way for this one as a cross, whereas an X for the little one, because that's how they line up on the punch. Okay, and we're doing it in strips so that we can easily go along the strips and not sort of punch chunks out of each other. Okay, you've seen me do this before if you've watched me regularly. Okay, hopefully all will become clear when as I do it. I am going to stamp in Memento. Right, this one I did in the smoky slate. I wanted the softer look, but we're going for bright and vibrant on this one. Okay, so I am going to use Memento. We are using a bit of blends marker to add the colour. So you want a water-based ink. So just to make sure I get the spacing right, or even, shall we say, it's not particularly right or wrong, just want some room. Just sort of stamping on the ends first, and then just putting these two roughly evenly in the middle. Like I say, it's not a measuring thing, it's just to make sure that they're evenly spaced for the punching. Same with this one. There we are. So that's all done. So that's really nice and simple. Just light tapping on the ink pad straight across. And like I say, because it's water based, we can use our blends markers. Okay, so we've got the accompanying polished pink. I'm going to use a polished pink card base. So I'm going to use the polished pink. I'm going to do it on the little ones, I think. And what I also like to do is just try out the marker on some scrap, just in case some alcohol is pulled in the tip. It does sometimes as they're sort of sat on the in the storage, and if you haven't used them for a while. So if you see that, don't panic, it just sort of rubs out. And all I'm doing is just putting a few streaks into the centre. Like, this isn't Colouring Masterclass 101 or anything. That's all I'm going to do. If you feel like it needs a bit of softening up, you can use the, what do they call this one? The colour lifter. And it just sort of diffuses that colour a little bit. You won't see an instant effect, but it will just make that edge a little softer. So we'll let that do its thing, and we'll come back to that in a second. Just sort of going over the edges there, and it'll just sort of let it sort of wick into the remaining cardstock. Okay, it's very subtle, but it sort of just softens it a little bit. As I say, and I'm not blending this out. We're only going to see a little bit of it. Okay, so that's ready. So that one's polished pink, but I thought we'd do one of the other colours and bring that in as well, just to brighten things up a little bit as well. So I'm actually going to bring in the fresh freesia as well, and put a few flicks of that in over here. So just using little flicking motion there, just to add that in. Does not have to be perfect at all, just basically kind of following those lines on the artwork. Okay, so that's a much softer colour. Okay, so obviously we can do these in whatever colour we like. Okay, whatever the favourite colour is of the person you're sending it to. Okay, there's a little bit of card stuck in the punch, which I didn't notice before. A little piece, it's a big piece, look at that, that would have jammed the punch. So that's another thing, just be careful that you're getting all your punch debris out. Okay, so we can just go across now and punch these out. Now the spacing is because we don't want this, so if I'd have put that right next door, it would have cut into the petal. Okay, so we want to just and say, as you go along, just give your punch a bit of a tap or shake or whatever, and just make sure you get all those little pieces out. So we can just go along, line that up. Okay, and so go across. Be careful you don't pinch your hand in the punch as well. So sometimes I do that, and you don't want to get it underneath in the mechanism. Okay. There we are. Just making sure all the little bits are out. And we can do the same with the little one. Okay. So again, see that top flower, if that had been right next door, it would have cut into there. Alright. We're going to do exactly the same. Ooh, let's line it up first though, shall we? The little punch bits go flying everywhere, so you'll probably find them for days on your desk. Which is kind of why I was trying to sort of squeeze it gently, just to try and minimise how far they ping. It doesn't always work, so that's gone flying all the way across there. Funny. I suppose what I could do is try and punch it downwards like that. That's it. A bit better. At least that's gone flying in this direction. Okay, and you can always twizzle it round at the end. The image itself is symmetrical. It doesn't matter which way up you do it. Okay. So all of that scrap goes in the bin. Just make sure it's all out of your punch. All these little teeny tiny pieces. And then you want to just shape the flowers. You can either do that in the palm of your hand, on a sponge mat, use the back of a pencil or some kind of pen or whatever. Okay, just to do that. Say if it hurts to poke it into your hand, then use like a mat, back of a mouse mat, or if you've got the Stampin' Pierce mat, that would do. Something soft and that you can just press that into. Okay, and I'm just flipping those over as I go because I want to be able to apply the glue to them. Okay, so for our base card then, we've just got some plain basic white here. This is a full card layer which measures 4 by 5 3/4. That's the good thing about seal. Look, that's gone onto this mat, right, that I work on, and I can just rub it off. It's only going to be a little skinny border because it's a very bright colour. We don't need a lot to show through, so we'll just pop that there. And then another little hint and trick. I don't know whether you saw on this one, but there is just a little bit of yellow ink popping through there. It's completely optional, you don't have to do this, but I found it helped just position the flowers equally around the in a sort of circle. So what I've actually got is another card layer here that I've also die cut a circle on. You can punch it if you want, if you've got anything that will cut a circle. This could be a post-it note, anything like that, but I figured that if I did it in the cardstock I could reuse it. So there's my saffron that was for the other card, and I might actually just use the fresh freesia for this one. I actually used one of the smaller blending brushes for that. This is one of the mini blending brushes that were new in the mini catalogue. So this one's brand spanking new. I'm going to bring in the fresh freesia ink pad. You could equally use a green or something, so sort of like emulate the foliage maybe. So when you've got a brand new blending brush, you almost want to sort of prime it, I don't know, season it, whatever. So what I do is I get a whole heap of ink on there and just blend it onto some scrap paper, and I do that a couple of times, and it just sort of, I don't know, it does something anyway. I don't know whether there's like just a hint of some coating or whatever on the brushes, and it just takes the ink. Now we've done that a couple of times, I'm not going to put any more ink on there. I'm just going to use the residual ink because all I want is a little suggestion of that circle, so that matches exactly where I want it. Now I could lift that up and down and all that kind of stuff, but I already know that that's in the position that I want it to be in. So like I say, it's just going to act as like a bit of a guide for me to position the flowers, alright? And you can do that as heavy or as light as you like, okay? A little bit, it has gone through the stitching a little bit on the die cut, but in this particular case it doesn't actually matter, so just to let you know. Okay, so that's going to be our guide and provide a little bit of a backdrop for the flowers. Right, so I'm going to start with the larger ones. Okay, and I'm just going to put a sort of bead of the glue onto the back of those. Okay, and they're going to go into this sort of cross position, no, X position, and I'm putting them sort of on the outer edge of that circle. The original card, I kind of put them inside the blend line, I'm doing these ones slightly outside of that line. It's going to make the circle or the sort of wreath design a little larger. As I hit that's there just as a guide. Okay, so they're all in the same orientation. I'm just putting them in the top, bottom, left and right, north, south, east, west, like so. Okay, and that's just you're gonna want to give them a little bit of a press. They'll just take a couple of seconds just to secure completely, but they'll firm up quite quickly. These ones I'm going to just sort of make sure are really sort of domed, if you like. I want to be able to press them into place quite securely. So again, just a little bead of glue, just gently squeeze your glue and drop it on. Touch the paper and lift up, touch, lift, and you get like these little beads. See? Like a little bead of glue. Okay. And that just sort of gives you that height as well, sort of thing. So these are going to go more in a cross position with a petal moving in. So what I did was I sort of put that lead petal sort of underneath and then sort of got them in as close as they could to the other one. Okay, if it's easier for you, then turn your card. So sort of scooping it in underneath those. She says, making that look really fiddly. No right or wrong, this is just how I did it, right? So if you want to do it slightly differently, then just do it slightly differently. Just wanted them to have like a bit more sort of lift and texture and stuff as I went through, by having them sit underneath these petals. Okay, so that's what we've ended up with. We could put a wee bit of Wink Stella on these actually. That would be nice. Just to add a bit of party sparkle. This would be good for a little girl, I think. And again, you know, I did yellow on the other card and made it sort of very subtle and everything. But if you used a nice bright yellow, or even punch the flowers in coloured cardstock, you would again get a much more vibrant look to the card, even if you were to use the same colours. Okay, so sentiment wise then, we'll still use our polished pink, and I'm going to switch that for the happy birthday from that same what's that called? Go To Greetings, that's it, Go To Greetings. And this is just a strip of cardstock that's come out the scrap bin. Okay. With polished pink ink, and we're just going to just run that through. Now you could, of course, if you don't want to die cut and die cutting's not your thing, then you could of course make sure that's all lined up onto just a sort of a plain strip of cardstock. Okay, but I thought it was a nice opportunity to use that cute die, so we'll just run that through quickly. It only takes a second. Look at the pressure that has on there, it's like crazy. But that's how it works. Okay. Now to stick this on the card, we're going to need some dimensionals on the back to lift it, but give it the height in there. Okay, so we're actually going to double up our dimensions. That's not really very straight, but I don't think it matters. Now, will these ones fit on? I don't actually know. Yeah, I think they will. So I'm going to pop a couple of these down towards the centre. But what we're going to do is do 2 layers. So I'm going to take off the backing and stick another 2. One over each one. So you've got a double thickness. Okay, so let's make some deeper. So they will fit into that little space that we've got on there. Putting a dab of glue on the back also allows you to have a little bit of wiggle room if you want to get your positioning just about right. Okay, just taking a peek under there just to make sure that that's not going to stick to any petals, and I'm just sort of tucking it behind this one. Okay, and I think that looks about right, which means we can just pop that into place. Then the only other thing to do is to add something pretty to the centres of those flowers. Okay, I'm thinking iridescent pearls would be cute, because they have that sort of pinky sort of you know, because they're iridescent, they kind of shine those different colours, you know, that we've got in our design. So the larger ones will fit nicely on the larger of the flowers in the centres there. Just twisting the card just to make it easy for myself to get those into position. You could also colour these to match as well if you really wanted to, but I think these look nice as they are. Right, and then the little teeny tiny ones are going to be just perfect for the... It's got a little bit of residual ink on it from another project, so I'm just going to take one next door. So a lot of the time I will just use my finger, but because I'm trying to get precise positioning, I just need to be able to see where they go exactly. So there we go, that's that then, and I hope that that has demonstrated how we can use a very well, the same design if you like, and make it into something either very subtle and understated, or something bright and pretty. Okay, hope you enjoyed that, giving you some ideas. Really like this these flowers, they're just so nice and easy and versatile to use, especially when they're with a punch. Could work as well with Petal Park, because we've got the large flower and the medium flower, and that could work as well, so give it a go with that. Okay, that's it from me today. I hope you're staying safe. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.